guys, today's tutorial is a beaded Kandi t-shirt. This is a beginner level tutorial. The materials you are going to need is a t-shirt, pony beads, and scissors. First, we're going to take our t-shirt and we are going to take some measurements. Basically, when in mind of deciding what shirt to use, make sure that you have an appropriate length for it. Sometimes some people don't like the ones that basically will show your stomach or whatever, so you might need a longer shirt for that. But our first step in this is making sure that you pick the appropriate shirt, and then we're also going to cut off the bottom seam, and it's going to be right above the so we make a small cut right to where we need it, and then we just cut all the way around the shirt. So once we're done, now we are going to stretch the fabric. Don't worry about getting it entirely straight when you're cutting it, because in the stretching process it makes it look a lot even. T-shirts are extremely stretchy, so don't really worry too terribly much about tearing it. Now our next is the collar, and personally collars tend to bug me a little bit, so I like to cut them off. This is a completely optional step, you don't have to, but it's exactly like we just did with the bottom hem. And when you're done, just put that aside. Again, and we're going to stretch it out to make sure that we get rid of those raggedy edges. We're going to do the same thing for the sleeves. Personally, I like to cut off the sleeves so I can make them fringe just like the bottom of it. Now remember what I was talking about with the appropriate length of making your fringe. So if you want to, you can mark it. We're going to be cutting slits about every inch to half inch, depending on what you like as your thickness. I prefer half inch, but if you wanted to do an inch because you're worried about it possibly breaking or being too thin or something, you can always go with an inch. That's fine. Just be conscious of not going too big because of the size of the holes on your beads, because you might not be able to fit it through there, which is why we use pony beads, because they've got big openings. And repeat this process until you're done. So now when you've finished your fringe, it's time for us to stretch each of the individual pieces of fringe. So you basically grab it at the base and run your fingers across while pulling back towards you. There's no exact way to do it, but you basically stretch it out and it rolls up, and it gives us a nice tube so we can stick our beads onto it. And you're going to continue the same process all the way around until you are done stretching out your t-shirt. Our next step is adding beads on. So you may need to twist the end of it a little bit to gather the fabric together to put your bead on. What might also help too is maybe getting some tweezers, or if you have long fingernails, you can grab the ends of the shirt and pull it through. It's up to you how many beads you want to put on it, and it's all about the length of your fringe. Some people like to have a long tail on it. Some people don't like to have any tail, but make sure to leave about an inch so you can tie your knot. If the excess fringe really bugs you, you can always cut it off with scissors after you're done, but just make sure you have adequate space for tying. Now it's time to tie our knot. We're going to do a basic overhand knot. So you do a loop, and then put your tail through your loop. And I like to run my fingers up so it keeps those beads nice and snug, but make sure that you don't do them too tight, and just, you can always pull them back a little bit and they'll come off of the t-shirt and more back onto the fringe part. And when you're done, your shirt should look something like that. Now again, the sleeves are completely optional. What you want to do with the neck is optional. You can do a v-neck, anything else. I have personally done several t-shirt reconstructions, and here's some of the ones that I have done myself. I like the fringy sleeves, like I said, so here's one that I have cut the sleeves off of. On the back side of this, I've got a couple of the, I guess you would call them weaves, or braided together. So those are cool. And on the top of it, I've got like 3 separate stretched out pieces. And this next shirt that I'm going to show you is, it looks like a spine and a rib cage, which I really, really like this one. This one was more difficult to do because it does require sewing. But if you guys are interested in some t-shirt reconstruction, I bet I can figure out a way to inquire Kandi into this. But if you like the tutorial, please rate, comment, subscribe. I put out a new video every Monday. I will talk to you guys later. Bye!